their energy signatures from water, from mountaintops, from various places. And a lot of this is really lending credence to what was known throughout history before in ancient times.
Sure.
What are some of those essential truths that you have learned through being able to measure the fields scientifically?
You know, there was a lot of historical anecdotes that it was places of high energy where people was gathered, where they had their different ceremonies, where later they have been creating different church buildings, temples. And one of our aim is to support these claims, to find out whether it's real or it's just anecdotal evidence. And so in our measurements we really found that there are a lot of places that have been considered as holy places, as sacred places, that have really very specific energy patterns. Because we can measure in different substances, in water, in air, in soil, in vegetation, and it was found a lot of confirmations of those facts.
So what are a few of the places on the planet that you saw what you would expect to in terms of the high energy output of a given area?
We need to take into account one moment. When there are a lot of people around, then their influence is much more strong than the influence of place itself. That's why, for example, when I've been to Machu Picchu, we've tried to make measurements, but it was nothing significant, because it was so many tourists around, and human energy, it is very strong. It has strong influence to everything. So we try to measure where we can get access to the places at night, or without people, or at some special stations. And of course our experience is not that big. So we've been measuring and had very high effects in Russian monasteries, in far north of Russia, where it is very remote monasteries in islands, in sᴏᴜᴟ Island, that was very high energy output. Then it is tiny islands with spirals.
Yeah, the labyrinths.
Labyrinths,
like
yes,
crop
yes,
circles.
Yes, yes,
very
yes,
powerful, the geometry.
Yes, absolutely. It was created in Celtic times by ancient civilizations, and of course, and again, they had very strong energies. Then we've been measuring in natural places, like nearby volcanoes, waterfalls, in different plateaus and mountains, and again we found very high energy outputs. The final findings was in the crop circles.
Yes.
And it was only one measurement, but it was very interesting. So we plan to make it again this summer and to see what it is.
Well, it's interesting because I have heard of this, other people using magnometers and so forth, simple devices, in that there's all this debate as to what's an authentic crop circle versus a man-made crop circle. But what's interesting is the geometry itself also seems to be producing a signature, an energetic signature.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. So it is a lot of controversy whether it is authentic, whether it is man-made. Again, we don't know whether it is the influence of place itself that attracted this crop circle, or crop circle that influenced the place.
Yes.
So at the moment it's just a question.
Right.
But to answer the question, of course, we need to make different measurements.
Right.
And as I know, it was interesting data by using magnetometers. And then we have interesting data with our instrument. Simple devices, they practically have no real output. And the all measurement of radioactivity, as I know, they were not significant. So slow, and as this research is just non-supported by anyone, it is just by enthusiastic people who do this. So of course it comes very slow, because any scientific research needs funding.
Right, right.
Because,
and these are rather esoteric.
Yes, absolutely.
Low
absolutely.
on the list for corporate funding, certainly.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It is very easy to come somewhere and meditate.
Yes.
You need only just little money for travel.
Right.
But if you need to carry on all your equipment, then it's much more complicated.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, let's come full circle back to human beings again and the energy output. And the point you made a little bit ago is important, that human beings possess a great amount of energy and energy influence. And what happens where two or more gather, as they say?
You mean...
where people come together with intention.
Yeah, with our camera, electrophotonic camera, we can measure the influence of people to each other. Because this camera, from one hand, it's very sensitive, from other hand, it's very stable. That's why we can use it in medicine. And when people meet each other with intention, would it be love or hatred, then they really strongly influence each other. And it may be done even without consciousness understanding. You know this notion of gaze from the back. It's very well known, it was studied, it is really exists. And we see this in real experiments. We have a person seated in a comfortable position in a chair, and then other people come from the back. So this person, he doesn't know who is coming and whether they're coming or not. And we really can see a tremendous difference for people who have no connection with this person, and for example for fiancé or love being who comes from the back. So it is clear evidence that we influence each other.
We influence each other, so we should have some kind of clear intentionality. We should be somewhat aware and conscious of how we're interfacing with others in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we should understand that if we send positive emotions, if we send love to each other, then we increase not only other person's energy field, but our own energy field.
Yes, and we're also working through the waters. We're working through the waters of the body.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And when people send haters, when they send envy, negative emotions, they first of all decrease their own immune system.
Yes.
So that's why all bad witches, they were always presented as very ugly creatures.
Yes, yes.
And all fairies, they were very nice always, because it's understandable.
So you not only damage your own field, but you damage the person that you're sending these intentions to, in some cases.
Of course.
So really, the key here is this is a universe made of energy. We can't ignore this fact anymore. Matter is almost irrelevant compared to the subject of energy. And so it seems essential in really training the children from an early age to understand this. Is this, in your opinion, a critical part of it?
Yes, absolutely. Because children, they are very susceptible to this information. For them it's very easily understandable. They don't have this prejudice as people with higher education.
And the prejudices, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So, and if they are trained, if they see in instruments how it is really effective, then they change their attitude to each other.
Are they doing this in Russia? Are they teaching children to recognize and utilize energy? Yes.
Yes, we do this. Yes, yes, yes.
From what age? From the earliest ages?
In school. They do it in school, so they demonstrate how it works, and children are very, very interested in this.
Yes.
And our last conference last year, we had a group of children who done real research on studying the influence of different subjects and energy fields.
Well, it's my hope that some of the other countries of the world, including the U.S., where we are right now in Santa Fe, can take some notice of what you're doing in the Soviet Union on so many levels, with the understanding of our connection, not our connection to, of our universal makeup of energy.
Yes, absolutely. I'm absolutely sure that it's coming.
Yes.
Of course, maybe not that fast as we would have desire.
You're doing your part, though.
Yes, we're doing.
You're out there
yes,
educating
yes, yes.
around the world. You have a crazy work schedule, and
Yes,
I thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're very busy and you fly out tomorrow.